Welcome back to The Line. This week we're counting down the top stories that we covered this year on New Mexico in Focus. Number 8 is the New Mexico Public Education Department. The Las Vegas Optic produced a stunning report this fall on the Mora superintendent who faked his credentials. Before becoming superintendent, Charles Trujillo was the chief of the Licensure Bureau for PED. Also in the past year, State Auditor Tim Keller produced 2 reports that raised concerns about PED. One named the department, quote, one of the 10 worst government entities in New Mexico, end quote. And the other report found that PED underfunded special education by more than $110. Trip Jennings, based on these reports in recent months, more transparency, more accountability in the state public education system. What's the public looking for here? Because we've been battered about this year when it comes to education. I mean, it's just really been an incredible thing.
Amazing, because at the same time you have, and I think we'll probably deal with it, the teacher evaluation lawsuit, in court. But the Charles Trujillo situation in Mora County, which brings up all sorts of questions about their procedures, their oversight in PED, and how they actually do check on people who are looking for licenses.
That's right.
He also forged somebody's name.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that somebody came forward and she was rather horrified.
Michelle Lewis.
Yeah.
And so that I spoke with her. That raises a lot of questions about who's in charge over there, what they're doing, what's the oversight looking like, in addition to all these other situations that you just talked about.
That's right. By the way, quick correction, what I said was underfunded special education by more than $110 million.
Right.
Thank you for that, my patience there, your patience with me there. Russell Contreras. It goes from the top down. We've had Hannah Scandera here at this table. We've had a number of education folks from PD and otherwise here. Everything seems to be a fight this year. 2015 was the big education fist fight. Is it just a pivot point for us? Are we going to look back 5-6 years from now and say, look, 2015 is either when we figured it out or we went straight backwards? We're not quite sure where we're headed right now, but
optimist in me says, I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, that this is a pivotal year. But education in this is where the political battles come and where they fight it off, no matter what the election is.
That's right.
I remember covering PED when I was at the Albuquerque Journal in 2004, and getting documents, even there, under a Democratic administration, was just as difficult. I mean, to ask how formulas are made up and how you figure out adequately yearly progress, it's like you were asking some of the bureaucrats to violate their human rights. I mean, to sit down and have that conversation. That does not change. That is the culture. So regardless of who's in charge, that's going to remain. I think we have to really work on that culture of transparency to say, look, you need to release this information. Yes, the teachers union will say it's a lie, these things are fake and so forth, or you'll have conservatives say I don't believe these stats. But just put them out there, because the cover-up is always worse than the crime.
That's right. As you have discovered in your work as a reporter, exactly right. Julianne Grimm, we had some interesting, we had protests in Santa Fe, we had all kinds of things going on this year, but your general sense of where PED stands now, and I ask this under the idea of public credibility. When we look at the PED and see what they're trying to do, a lot of folks support their efforts, certainly. They support Governor Martinez's efforts on this, but a whole lot of folks just don't. Is there any way to reconcile all this at some level?
I agree with you that their credibility, it's been shaken, and that there are a lot of issues that have brought that about. I think that this idea that the bureaucracy was already in place, the bureaucracy at the public education department is vast. It's very difficult to really get a handle on what's going on. You've got the Licensure Bureau, which was in the spotlight because of this guy faking his credentials, but there's this other thing, the Ethics Bureau within the department, that's supposed to be keeping an eye on things like, are any teachers, convicted of or accused of child molestation or fraud or anything like that? And so I really wonder, too, if some of the root of these more recent problems have to do with the fact that there's been a lot of energy expended on fights over the evaluation system, fights over the park. You've got the secretary fighting with the legislature just to get the interim knocked off of her name. How does that trickle down everywhere else? I think the other interesting thing is you've got Secretary Scandera really looking to clean house in 2001. She does this bureaucratic thing that's called a RIF, which is a reduction in force. But the thing was kind of botched, and a lot of people who lost their jobs as a result of that really end up coming back to the PED, and now they're doing different jobs.
Interesting.
So there's a little bit of a shell game going on, and I think that for the people, for the educators, that's a problem.
Sure. Rob Nikolewski, it could be argued certainly that any change brings turbulence. It just does. There's no such thing as a smooth change. You factor in education, and the public education department has a very difficult charge, overseeing a statewide school system with a ton of challenges. What was the year like for them from your point of view?
Well, I think it mirrors what's going on nationwide. I mean, as a nation, we want our students to do better. So there's this movement for more, not necessarily more testing, but more accurate testing.
Right.
So we can actually gauge where our kids are going, and how much they're learning. But not just here in New Mexico, but across the country, that means a fight between, often it comes down to the people who want to make these changes and the teachers unions who don't want them. They say that they want a good system, but sometimes you have to wonder where their loyalties lie.
Good point. 2016, I think, is still going to be a big year for PED. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of work to do. Now, number 7 on our list of the top 10 stories of the year is the San Juan Generating Station. That coal-fired power plant in northwestern New Mexico has been covered extensively by local media. PNM wants to shut down 2 units at the facility and bring it into compliance with the federal air quality regulations that are out there. The replacement plan is opposed by some local groups, including the New Energy Economy, which sued to try to prevent several members of the Public Regulation Commission from voting on the replacement plan. You might remember that. But this week, the PRC voted to approve PNM's replacement plan for the energy that was coming from that generating station. Rob Nikolewski, now that we have had approval, it's interesting if you look at the steps from August. We had the situation in September and October, and now we've got approval. A lot of the consumer groups are saying, look, this is the best compromise that could possibly happen.
And I was at the meeting yesterday when they signed off on this, and a number of environmental groups, the majority of them, have signed off on it as well. What I found most interesting about this story, because it really goes back 2 or 3 years, you would think if you were a Martian, and you landed and just saw the outline of this story, to reduce coal use by 50%, at the San Juan Generating Station, you would think that it would be conservatives who would be saying, we can't do this, and environmentalists who would be cheerleading.
Right.
And some environmentalists have signed off on it, but as you mentioned, New Energy Economy hasn't. So to me, that's I found to be the most interesting part of the story. And also, the Obama EPA, hardly a right-wing group, they've signed off on this as well, saying that this new San Juan agreement that PNM's doing will meet the stringent requirements of the Clean Power Plan. So to me, it's one of those man bites dog stories.
Interesting. It's Julianne Grimley, a lot of balance here that a lot of folks had trouble with. The amount of nuclear, the amount of coal, the amount of from the sun. Very small amount. And folks wanted to see PNM's commitment not just take a little bit of a leap, but a giant leap forward. Like really, is this a reasonable interim step for PNM in your view and what you're hearing from readers of your paper? Is this something that could work for everybody?
I think it could work.
Yeah.
I think that the technical aspects of these proposals and this debate, they're very deep. And for even somebody who has read a lot of them and certainly read all of the media coverage, I think that nobody really has a clear, big picture.
That's fair.
And I think that's one of the big challenges. I also think that, New Energy Economy is a very aggressive group. They have some really obvious goals. This is the same group that's trying to get the city of Santa Fe to divorce PNM and start its own power company. So there's a little bit of a black hat, white hat thing going on with New Energy Economy, just really going for the jugular and not being willing to compromise. And that's their stance, and perhaps we need that in our community. But I think there's a good argument to be made that we got somewhere with this, and yeah, I'm sure PNM could have gone further.
Interestingly, let me peel back a layer, Trip Jennings, to an earlier time where New Energy, the group Julianne just mentioned, tried to get some of the commissioners to not be able to rule on this. It was interesting how the feedback from the judge says, look, these folks have a partial point here. There's some things about ex parte communications that look kind of squirrely here from PNM, but they got what they needed. But you know what I mean? They didn't get off clean, did they?
No.
Yeah.
They were kind of admonished
Yeah.
about, kind of saying, hey, speaking this way, and in some ways it was like the judges were like, what do we do if we do recuse these? I'm just thinking,
Right. There's no system.
There's no system out there. I want to say this. I want to take a step back and say we are watching something extraordinary right now, and it's happening across the nation too. Energy, I think, is going to be the Rob and I have talked about this, biggest story of the next 75 years, actually. And I think we're watching this lurching going on with coal versus, solar, how to reduce, because you've got public health,
Right.
questions.
That's right.
You've got climate change questions. It plugs into the whole debate about climate change. Is it, whatever.
Exactly right. Sorry, to cut you out there. We're at a minute. For both P&M and consumer groups who were opposed to where they want to go. The other thing that's interesting about this, Russell Contreras, is there's a big coal deal coming for P&M as well.
There is.
They had to have a decision because there's a decision that's coming right after the first of the year for these people. Go ahead and talk about that. It's a very interesting situation
it
they
was
found
interesting
themselves
that everybody, including the Attorney General, signed off on this. So they needed the momentum as this coal thing was going on. The other thing missing from this discussion is how does this affect the Navajo Nation? It's in their backyard.
Yes.
They're going to be the ones inhaling this stuff. They're also going to be the ones benefiting economic from this. So a lot of times when we discuss it, we leave them out of that talk because they're the ones who are either working there or are going to be in the middle of this.
Very well said. Up next, we continue our countdown of the top stories of 2015.